Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Lena and I make videos. Today I have a very special guest with me. It's my husband. Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Chris.
Perfect. Hello, Chris. Welcome to my channel.
Glad to be here. Long time watcher.
First time
interviewee.
First time guest. Today I wanted to invite you on this channel to talk about
Well, I know a lot about that.
No, I wanted to talk about policing and you being a former police spouse, how that was for you, our relationship. How did I change over the course of the 6 years that I was a police officer?
Right.
And just like go through all that.
Okay.
Okay?
Sure.
So,
Take it away.
take it away.
So I guess we could look at it in terms of it was the three stages, right? So there's the academy stage, then there was on the road stage, and then there was the off the road stage. And so during the academy stage, it was fun, I think. My favorite time is when you were testing me to see how the inebriation skills were using. Not fun for you, but fun for me.
Yeah, the DUI week where I was like practicing, I came home and I was like, hey, Chris, can you help me? Just practice the field sobriety test, and you took it to heart.
I got to say everything I always wanted to say to a police officer, but never felt brave enough to do.
Yeah.
And that was a good day for me.
That was
a great day.
That was not a good day for me. It tested my patience, which is
also
a good
skill
to have.
Yeah, I should have yelled more.
You should have.
Could have. I think during that phase, your driving got worse.
Which is funny because
You were always a bad driver.
no, it's funny because I was actually like trained.
Yeah.
I was trained in emergency vehicle operations. I was trained in emergency vehicle operations.
Yeah, before you were a police officer, you were
An aggressive driver.
an aggressive driver who didn't always focus on the road. And then you became a much more aggressive driver.
But I focused on the road.
More.
Yeah.
Definitely focused on it more.
Yeah.
But you would gun it off lights and hard brake and drive with a purpose is what became a motto. And my driving, because I drove a Prius,
Was slow.
drove you nuts. And that was always,
A point of contention.
which is why you drove more often than I did.
Yeah.
When you were on the road,
I was working nights.
it was of two moments, right? So there was, I think during 2020, when everything was locked down, I think those were fun times for you a little bit. But there was a time, there was like this one time, and you called me and you're just like, hey, they have me positioned out here. It doesn't seem like it's going to be a thing, but I'm just hanging out, waiting for something to happen. Oh, wait, there are some dogs coming this way. Oh, wait, I see something happening over here. Oh, wait.
I gotta go.
I gotta go. I'll call you back. And then you never called me back. And that was a hard day.
I'm sorry.
Because I sat there waiting for you to call me back for a while.
Aww.
And then I think I sent you a couple frantic text messages. Just like, just let me know you're okay.
Not even a thumbs up.
Not even a thumbs up.
Because I was in it.
Because you were doing a thing.
Yeah, I was working.
And I remember you talking about how, you ended up carrying a lot of things back with you.
Like my first dead body.
Your first dead body, having to clear houses,
There was one time where it's like we had a call and I was clearing a house with people that were backing me, and I had my gun out and the guy was like hiding in the closet. And it's like those moments where you just don't know, like, is he going to come out with a gun? Is he going to start shooting from the closet and all
Right.
that stuff? So yeah.
So those became dark days. Like I don't think that no one calls a police officer because they're having a good day.
No.
And then you don't just stop with one call, right? Like for some people, it's the end of the moment for them, but for you, that's the first of 4 or 5 things that you have to deal with. And
It's like going to that heightened call and then having to scale back your response to, a domestic or verbal domestic or, an issue between neighbors, or you're doing a traffic stop and you kind of have to like scale it to what you're responding to.
Right.
And I think in the moment for those 12 hours I was in it, And I think it was difficult
Yeah.
when I was home.
And you also got frustrated with some of your male colleagues because there were moments in which I think as you described it, they treat female officers a little bit different than men, as in men are very aggressive and women less aggressive, and then men are trying to back up women because there's physical differences, but then they bring aggressiveness when aggressive isn't when it's always necessary.
Like, yeah, there are moments where you can talk down a situation, and if you're a female, like, I think speaking is your biggest. I don't know. Do you like that spatula, Mike?
I like the spatula.
I do. But like, as a woman, you're able to like scale down a situation. And I think when your backing officer is 6 foot plus and like buff and comes in with that, like, I'm ready to fight energy, it kind of, you know, makes the situation worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think Academy was fun. The road were dark days. Like, I think it started fun and then it dove down to less fun because I don't think it gives you an opportunity to shed a lot of the emotional weight that you carry on a regular basis. Like, I remember that you had one colleague who, you know, was doing a routine traffic stop and the guy flips a gun and in a moment, like, points it at him,
chills.
And then points it at himself and kills himself.
Yeah.
And he was supposed to be back on the road, like,
a month, a few weeks. Yeah, less than a month.
Right. So, I mean, there's a lot.
I think I will say to that situation, I think those situations are now handled differently than they were when I was on the road.
Sure.
Because I know in those instances, like, there have been people in similar instances that have now taken time. Like, they took them off the road, they gave them the help, and then they put them somewhere else for the time being just to, like, mentally get right.
Well, so I remember Jocko Willink doing an interview. I want to say Joe Rogan, just because I don't feel like I watch him unless he's on Joe Rogan. But he was talking about how it was during the whole, like, the Black Lives Matter moment about in combat situations, you don't know what your brain is going to do until after you've been in there. So, like, some people can get shot at and see horrible things and they can bounce back in a day. And some people, it's a game changer and, like, they're cooked. And you just don't know what it is. And I think in that scenario, with the amount of tragedy that you see, I think there should be more of a focus on the mental health side.
Yeah. And I will say, yes, like, that was the shift. I think once I was off the road and like 2021, 22, I think there was like a bigger emphasis on mental health. And I think that was from like the chief at the time saying like, hey, mental health matters and we need our officers to be at 100% so that way they can, you know. So yeah, I mean, I think it got there, but I do remember those instances where I was just like, okay, yeah, he, like, that specific incident. Yeah, he was my friend.
He was your friend.
Yeah.
He was a good guy. Yeah. So, and then I think by the time you got off the road,
I was done.
You were cooked.
I was cooked.
You were definitely cooked.
I think nights took it away, like, took a lot from me. I think it was the type of calls, the people that I was working with at the time were difficult. And I think they had a specific idea of what policing was, and I didn't fit that mold. I wasn't running and gunning and going after drugs and, you know, drugs and guns and all that stuff.
Right.
And I preferred the more like community approach, the community aspect approach. And there were a couple times where people told me like, hey, you're talking too much to this person. And I'm going, well, there's no calls. So why would I not talk to this person who just had a very traumatic thing happen to them? Like, I would want an officer responding to my family members, my friends, to be human.
Yeah, I get that. I think, I think, right, it's one of those moments where for you, it's part of your job, but for that person, it's an experience. And I think sometimes it's hard to remember that.
Yeah.
I can say from my own career experience, like, you would see a lot of different assault and batteries. And not every assault and battery was that person's worst day, but that wasn't necessarily the worst assault and battery.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. But no, I mean, I will say when I went to days for like 2 weeks, but during that time I got pregnant.
correct.
Yeah. And then I waited 12 weeks before 13 weeks, I think. I was 13 weeks pregnant.
Man, you pushed that one.
I did push it because I was finally on days. I was finally around people that I actually enjoyed, officers I enjoyed, doing things that I enjoyed on the day shift side. And I had supervision that I enjoyed at the time. So I wasn't really ready to let that go. And then my doctor was just like, you got to get off the road.
You got to.
You got to get off the road.
Right.
And I think once I shifted from road work to office work, where I went to media and messaging, and I was able to put my creative talents to use, I think showed me a different aspect of policing.
Yeah. I mean, yes, kinda, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I think after you had the baby, your tolerance for certain things shifted as well. I think, like, even in my job, where, before having a kid, seeing things happen to kids, it was a piece of paper. It was words. It didn't mean anything. After having a kid, now, there's an emotional weight attached to things that weren't there before. And I think the same thing for you. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it was 2 years? 2 years into being in the office, I think was the time where I was going through a lot at the time.
Quite a bit.
I think the job aside, personally, I was going through a lot.
Well, I mean, I think...
And the job actually accentuated that, actually.
Well, yeah, I think you were... Being off the road, you had a moment of decompression, and then a little bit of tragedy occurred, which kind of ramped some things up. So it was a whole lot of...
Tense.
Things. Yeah, you were tense is the easy word to say.
Yeah. Yeah. How would you describe the evolution?
It was evoluted.
Evoluted?
Yeah.
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 But no, from the time that I started the academy to when I left, which was recent, 3 months ago, 4 months ago now.
Well, okay, so you went in because you had aspirations of doing police work
on a federal level. Yeah.
You were really excited about that prospect. And I think you were at your peak of physical fitness. You were getting up and running 16 miles because you could.
Yeah. I know, right? That was disgusting.
It was.
Yeah.
You were a morning person, and then you would go run, and that was nice because I got to sleep in. But then I think where the rubber hit the road, I don't think everything was what you thought it would be. Let me say that differently. I think when you actually got into it, there is one of those moments that I think people don't like. You can say it was war, right? But that doesn't convey any of the emotional attachment or the panic or the fear or the stress or all these other little these things that are existing in it that gets glossed over. I think that there's a lot. It's easy to say there was an assault and battery. To be the person in that moment, it's a different sphere. And I think that you were bringing a lot of that home with you on a regular basis. And I don't think that because you were on nights and because you're a morning person, I don't think you were dissipating it faster than you were bringing it onto yourself. And so you were letting off a little bit, and then you had to go right back in there, and then you had to tack more on, and then you were able to take a little bit of time off and take a little bit out of, take a little pressure out, but you were just building more and more of this pressure. And then you got pregnant, and then you got off the road, but there was more pressure being added on for other reasons too. So I don't think you had a good I never thought you really had a good decompression state.
Even your days off, you still had court. I still had court on my days off. So it's not like I had a day off. I don't miss those days.
I don't miss those days.
I don't miss those days at all. I think, so once I we'll jump. Once I went off the road and I was temporarily assigned to media and messaging in September 2020, it was like at the height of COVID.
Right.
I kind of stayed there through my pregnancy, and then there was issues, and then they graciously allowed me to stay. And I think that was a defining part of the trajectory of my career, because I think if it wasn't for that time, I wouldn't be where I am today.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of little bits to it, right?
Yeah.
I think had the pregnancy not occurred, I think you probably would have made your way to federal by now.
I think so too. But I don't. Would have I been? I would have been fine. I think I would have gotten there, and I would have done it. But I don't think that would have been. Like, I would have done it and been like, okay, I did it.
Or yeah,
What's next?
It would have been a job. It wouldn't have been a career.
That's what it is.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's
always how I saw police work too. I don't think I ever saw it as a career, because I was never in it to be like a 20-year police officer or any of that nature, even though I did apply for things in the department that I never got. And I'm so grateful that I didn't get, because they would have just prolonged my time with the police department.
Maybe. I mean, I think part of life is you don't know what you're going to enjoy. Like, you don't know what you're going to like or not like until you've had a chance to try it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things out there that I believe that had you had a chance to try it, that you would have liked it. The only problem is with the way your police was set up is that you're trying to try it is like a year contract. It's not like it's not like 3 months in, internship. Do you like it? Now we'll put you on a list to see,
Yeah.
It was you're fully committed. You have to leave everything behind. You have to go
And do the thing.
all the way.
And then you're there for the term limits that they impose.
Right.
And then after that, you got to figure out what's next, because you can't stay put. Even though that you like the thing that you do,
Right.
you have to move.
Yeah, I'm always surprised that when they find someone good,
They move them.
they move them.
In the interest, they're like, it's to better the person, to make them well-rounded. And it's a
It's a disservice.
It's a disservice to the person. It's a disservice to the units. It's a disservice to the department.
Yeah, I mean, I see it both ways. Like, there are certain jobs that you have to stare into the abyss. And there are certain people who are better at staring into the abyss than others.
Yeah.
But I don't think anyone should be forced to stare into the abyss too long.
Yeah.
So I understand making somebody leave after a while. But I also think it's silly that when someone finally gets themselves into a rhythm and good at it, that they are uprooted out for some new rookie to come in, take over, and fail for another year and a half, 2 years.
And then once they're caught up to speed, it's like the same
Again.
thing. Yeah.
I don't envy that position.
I don't either. And I think you're right. Like, I don't know what I don't know. Like, I don't know what I don't know. But I do know that having left the police department and left law enforcement, that I'm better for it.
Yes.
100%.
Much better.
I think I internalized a lot of things.
Yes.
I think I took a lot of it home, where I was just like thinking about the person, and I'm like, I can't check in on this person. I'm not supposed to. Or like taking these little things home, or like seeing the worst things, and then expecting just to like go about your day to day. And then you have friends who are not in the field at all that are like, what's the worst call you've ever been on? What kind of gnarly situation you've been in? And I'm just over here going like, well, I saw a dead body, and then I got a call for an opossum that was blocking a stairway. Like, those are the two extremes.
Yeah.
And it's just like, for a 12-hour shift, to have that like constant roller coaster.
Right.
And then coming home, like, I have so much appreciation for the men and women that still do the job and do it well.
Right.
And are able to compartmentalize the way that they do. And still get to go home to their families and be okay.
Right.
But I saw the writing on the wall, where I was just like, if I go back to the road, I'm no use to you or our daughter.
Right. Yeah, no, I think I had a better appreciation. Like, I always knew how ugly it was, but I had a better appreciation after I started working in the judicial system for a little bit.
Because you were a magistrate.
Yeah, I got to see. I only got to deal with things after everything had been cleaned up, handcuffed, and
They were there to probable cause.
But at that point in time, I mean, even that, some of that, I mean, like hearing some of these stories, it's still a lot. So
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine like going in firsthand. Like at no point in time was there ever a threat of me being spit on.
But yeah, no, like there are moments where on calls I've been called like a bitch and a cunt and
Please, everyone calls.
But yeah, like it was one of those things where it's just like they don't see the person, they see the uniform.
Right.
And then that's just what it is. You're not a person. You are an authority figure that's coming to ruin their day, that's already been ruined, and you are just there to make it worse.
Well, yeah, paramedics save your life, please.
Firefighters save your life.
Save your stuff.
Save your life too.
Well, a little bit.
Yeah.
But police ruin your fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am fun police.
Yeah, fun police.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But no. But how has that shift been like
Since you left?
since I left?
I think it took a little bit, but I think you've been able to drop the pressure, and there's the new job you're in doesn't have the same constraints, so there's not adding back on like there was before. Not that there's not problems,
Yeah.
but perspective-wise, it's not the same.
It's not life or death.
Correct.
I mean, in my role in media and messaging, it was never life and death to begin with, but I feel like certain, like,
But
supervision saw it as that.
yeah, but there's the author Sean Anchor and the Happiness Effect. Like your brain is shaped by that world, right? Like you are who you are. You see life and death, and just because you leave the road doesn't mean how your pathways have changed. It doesn't change it being life and death, no matter what stage up. And especially because decisions can be made, and it can still be life and death.
Yeah.
So it's always going to be a heavy job because it's so scrutinized.
Yeah.
And because your mistakes can have consequences for other people that will last them for generations.
Yeah.
So I understand, like the Kansas City police officer guy. Did you hear about this recent story? Where he was, you know, when everyone knows you're a bad cop and you do bad things and everyone knows it, right?
Yeah.
He was one of those really bad cops outside of Kansas City. He was doing horrible things to horrible people, and then he ended up suiciding himself rather than facing the justice. But those it poison pills the rest of them. So no matter what happens, everyone's gonna be.
And that's one thing they drove home in the academy, and that's one thing that they try to push is that your actions, yes, you're an individual now, but you are responsible for the group. Like what you do matters, and if you act a certain way, it'll reflect on your people. Yeah. So like one person's mistake, it was all our mistakes.
Well, yeah, because just because someone did something bad doesn't mean they're not gonna find that one individual to try to seek repercussions either. They would shoot at whomever.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah. I remember having you read, what is it, Dr. Gilmartin?
Yeah, Dr. Gilmartin's book was really good.
Yeah, what was that?
I forget. That was the one. Oh man, I forget. The Gilmartin's book. I imagine you can put an image up.
Yeah.
But the one line in there that really got me was a park ranger, a police officer, and a parent sees a Boy Scout troop walking into the woods.
Yeah.
And the parent's just like, man, that's so much fun. And that park ranger's like, that son of a bitch is going to get them lost. And that police officer is just like, one of those kids is going to get touched.
Yeah.
And just,
Yeah.
that's just how it is. In my job now, I deal with tragedy on a civil side, right?
Yeah.
And so every time I see a lot of drownings in pools, so now
You're very cautious.
I'm very cautious, but because I've associated pools with drownings.
Yeah.
So I can't hang out at a pool and not stop and count kids periodically. Not that there's not hundreds of kids jumping in and out of pools on a regular basis, but that's just how it is.
Yeah.
So I get it.
Yeah. Well, good deal.
Yepers, but you're better now.
Well, thank you for, I've done the work.
Thank you for stop being a cop. But also,
But thank you for
we need more cops.
We do need more cops, more good cops, more just people who are in it for the right reasons and people that are truly, they love what they do. And I think there are certain cops that are great at the community side. There are certain cops that are great at the running and gunning, and we need both of those. But yeah, no, I think we need officers. I think we need officers and people that reflect the community that they're serving. I think it is important because there are certain people that relate to others. Yeah. I mean, there were calls that I went on that, like, the person spoke Arabic, and I was able to help them.
Right.
Because I speak and understand Arabic. I speak broken Arabic, but I understand Arabic.
Sure.
So, like, I was able to help that person because I was a female officer or an officer with that skill. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's wrap it up. Are you done talking?
No.
No?
I got plenty more to say.
Well, let's say it.
I got nothing at the moment.
Nothing about the topic at hand or just in general? The journey through policing over the past 6 years.
Yeah, I will say I have become enlightened as a result of it.
Okay, perfect. Talk more about that.
Okay, well, I can talk more about that one. I, growing up, didn't have a great experience with police officers. I have been pulled over, stopped, and other things more times than I'd like to admit.
Okay.
And for dumb reasons. And I did not like police officers. And had I really known that you were going to be a police officer, if you were just like, hi, I'm Lena, I'm going to be a cop, I would have been like,
Thank you, but no thank you.
thank you, but no thank you.
Yeah, but I think it was like
It didn't
deep into our relationship.
It was deep in our relationship
Yeah.
when you made that decision. And yeah. So I will say I was very close-minded before about what they do and deal with. And I'm not as close-minded as I was.
I think you've come to appreciate
Yeah, I do.
the profession.
Yeah. I mean, yes. I think, yes. I mean, as much as people don't like them, they're still the people they call when they need help. So.
Yeah.
But I think also understanding the law has also jaded me a little bit in terms of like what's your problem and what's not your problem.
Yeah.
And I think that, I think there's definitely things that could be done better. I don't think it's necessarily fair that everything that gets thrown onto a police officer to do. I do think that there should be more divestment in terms of responsibilities. I think it's a much more complicated scenario than
What we can do to fix it.
I mean, I think there's definitely things that could be done to improve.
Yeah. No, I agree. That is all. Like, I appreciate you coming here and talking about this on my channel.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
I appreciate you, like, seriously coming on.
I know you've been inviting me on for a while, and I've been ducking you.
You've been ducking me.
Quite a bit.
Quite a bit. You've just been.
I wouldn't answer your calls for a while.
You wouldn't answer my calls, text, pagers.
You would tap me on the shoulder and pretend not to see you.
Yeah.
Happened quite
Which
often.
is awkward when we live in the same house.
It made dinner
sleep in the same bed.
sometimes too. Yeah.
A little bit. But I do appreciate you coming in and talking about your experiences or your experience.
My experience.
Your experience. And yeah, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you have any questions or would like us to talk about a certain topic, let us know in the comments below. Why are you laughing?
Are you roping me into another one?
I am. Okay. This is going to be a series going forward, so I don't really care if there are no comments.
Maybe I'll leave a comment. You should let him go.
No. Bring him more. He's so handsome. But no, I do appreciate you, and I appreciate that you were just like a rock through it all. So thank you for letting us pick your brains. I think going forward, I might just ask you questions related to like policing and like get your viewpoint, because you have such an interesting viewpoint. You really do. So.
Well, thank you.
Of course. So yeah, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And we will see you in our next video. Bye. Cool.